about to make it blow a bag full of cash. Like, turn to the side, let me see. Damn, I think we all could agree. You and your friends, I done counted 2 or 3. And you looking even better here with me. We don't need no dinner, you the no boo. Tell me where you're from, girl, is your local? Got a couple dollars we could blow through. Take a couple trips, yeah, I could show you. Jump in my Impala, get the backseat going.
That right there was my new joint. It's called Blow a Bag. You can find it on all streaming platforms. Just search Hollywood Blow a Bag. Send it to your friends. Most importantly, add it to your playlist. And I want to point out I got a new mixtape I'm about to drop. It's called It's Been a Minute Since I Did One of These. Can't wait for y'all to hear it. But now let's get ready to get into what's hot in these blogs. So let's talk about this big, beautiful bill and the process that is currently going through right now in Congress. So long story short, over the weekend, it got enough votes to be able to pass it through to the next phase, which is the debating stage. That's where both the Republicans and the Democrats get about 10 hours each to debate and express why the bill should or shouldn't be passed. After that, it goes to what they call a vote-o-rama stage. At the time of me recording this, that's currently where they're at, where the senators are able to vote on an unlimited number of amendments to the bill. This is where many states would try to get something out of the deal. Some try to get some exemptions to some of the BS that's in the bill. So that's what's happening during the vote-o-rama stage. After that, it goes to the actual final vote, where the Republicans could only afford to lose 3 votes in order for the bill to be successful. After that, this newly crafted amended bill will go back down to the House, where they could look at it and see all of the changes that was just made in the Senate. They then vote on it. If they get enough support in the House and they vote on it and pass it, it then goes to that noodlehead, aka 4547, that's in the White House, for him to sign it and make it law, and then we're all screwed. I don't have the highest hopes that this bill isn't going to get passed, because besides the fact that the Republicans have the majority in the House and the Senate, there was a number of Republicans who were opposed to this bill prior to Saturday, and they still voted to pass it through to that next phase for it to be voted on. All but 2 voted to pass it through to that next phase. So what that tells me is if you're opposed to a bill and you're still able to vote yes for it to go through to the next phase, regardless of what that phase is, the debate, vote-o-rama, amendments, or whatever, that tells me you're putting party over people. So fast shouts to those 2 Republican senators who stood on business and said no. So I don't have the highest hopes that that same thing wouldn't happen during the final vote. Now let's get into the bill itself. So they're calling it the big, beautiful bill, when in actuality, when you really get into the fine print of this 940 catastrophic agenda they're trying to make law, you see it's anything but beautiful. Unless you're rich, of course. Now, despite a few seemingly attractive things in it, like no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, once you adjust the mirrors and fan away the smoke, you realize we're left with an attack on working families, an attack on seniors, and an attack on the most vulnerable Americans. When you cut into it, one of the biggest attacks in this bill is its cuts to Medicaid, one of the country's most critical lifelines for low-income families, seniors in nursing homes, and people with disabilities. Millions could lose coverage behind this bill. They're trying to make it seem like they're getting rid of waste and abuse, but that's really BS, and it's really going to affect millions of people. Even if you're not on Medicaid, you know someone who is. This bill is handing out massive tax breaks to the ultra-wealthy and big corporations, while everyday Americans like you and me get stuck with higher costs and much fewer protections. If you got a pre-existing health condition, this bill basically says that sounds like a you problem. You're talking asthma, diabetes, cancer, heart disease, depression, any of that. Good luck affording healthcare. Prescription drug prices still would be high. There's nothing in this bill to stop price gouging. Big Pharma is actually getting big preferential treatment. And don't forget, this bill shifts more healthcare responsibility to the states without giving them enough money to cover it. So that means fewer services, longer wait times, and worse outcomes for states that are already stretched thin. If you know, you know. Not to mention, this bill will add $3.3 trillion to the United States debt. So yeah, if you're rich and already connected, this bill might be beautiful. But for everyone else, it's a scam dressed in gold letters. So now you see why so many people were putting so much pressure on us to put pressure on Congress, to call Congress and let them know how much we're not with it. I always talk about the midterms and how the midterms are one of the most important elections, and a lot of people usually skip out on it. People generally like to focus on the presidential election, but the president is only as powerful as Congress allows them to be, and we got to understand that Congress is only as powerful as we allow them to be. We're the one voting to put them in these seats. So if you express your dissatisfaction with the cuts that are going to be made, that's going to affect you, and they still vote yes on this bill, then you need to be voting them out of that seat if it's up for re-election during the midterms in 2026. If we stand any chance of stopping the damage this man is causing and has already caused in this short time he's been back in office, we got to get out there in those midterms and flip Congress. Let's move on. What else is hot in these blogs? Speaking of damage, your boy 4547 is continuing his attacks on immigrants. Unless you're a white immigrant, of course, and then I think you're safe. But for all other immigrants, not so much. His latest move is they're removing the legal protections for over 500,000 Haitian immigrants, which will now open them up to possibly being deported. This applies to Haitian immigrants who had temporary protected status, or TPS. TPS allows people who are already in the United States to stay and work here legally if their homelands are deemed unsafe. This comes 3 months after this administration revoked legal protections for thousands of Haitians who arrived legally in this country under a humanitarian parole program. And we should have known Haitians would be a target next, because last year during the debates, y'all remember he threw out there irresponsibly, with no proof, that Haitians in Springfield, Ohio were eating pets. The Department of Homeland Security is claiming that the conditions in Haiti have improved so that these Haitians no longer meet the conditions necessary to be under this protected status. Meanwhile, the Department of State has not changed its travel advisory for Americans traveling to Haiti. The advisory reads, "Do not travel to Haiti due to kidnapping, crime, civil unrest, and limited health care." So the travel advisory is still there, but the conditions are apparently good enough that these people don't need the protections and they can go back. Make it make sense. So we'll see how this plays out. The temporary protected status for Haitians expires on August 3rd, and the termination will be effective beginning on September 2nd. And that right there is going to conclude what's hot in the blocks for this week. Thank you for watching. If you rock with your boy, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, it's called Holliewood and Friends, which means I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on the topics I just discussed. I appreciate you. New episodes every Monday night. Until next time, deuces.